Shalom, 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 and welcome back, DT4U family. Today we got a special guest with us, Mr. Elvin Israel. Give it up for our brother. Yeah, but anyway, Elvin was supposed to have a debate with another one of our brothers, Ratuah. Ratuah couldn't make it. I mean, he took off on he took off on a business venture, and he had to do what he had to do. So I want to just congratulate that brother, man. Happy that things is working out for him financially or success, in his career. But anyway, instead of the debate, we decided to go on ahead and let the brother Elvin just go ahead and defend the Bible. As you can read the title, it's up there. Defending the Bible, taking ignorance captive. So the brother's going to sit here and present some good information, to the naysayers and also to the ones who also believe. Maybe he could put some stuff in your arsenal. But the brother's going to defend the Bible. And he don't need any introduction, man. It's the brother, man. He got a book on Amazon. He's a acclaimed author. He's a teacher. What else can the brother not do? You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and let the brother introduce himself, and we're gonna get into this lesson pretty shortly. What's going on, brother Elvin?
Shalom, my brother. How are you doing today, brother?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir. Hey, it's nice being here, my brother, and thank you for allowing me to actually present my information, even though my brother, who I was supposed to be debating, he's not able to show up. And shout out to that brother. Instead of debating me, my brother found another contract. So I'm not saying that he actually went to find a contract so he didn't have to debate me. All I know is, hey, shout out to you, brother. And I told you weren't gonna want that smoke in the beginning, but hey, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna leave it like that with that one. But hey,
the end of that.
Yes, sir.
Hey, before you get going, brother, tell us what's in your background there, man. I like it. It's pretty snappy.
I appreciate this. This is all of the groups that I'm a part of that I work with. I work with RPK, this right here, and I actually got my RPK shirt on. Shout out to everybody from the RPK organization, Resurrection, Prophecy, and Kingdom. And then I got my own personal ministry right here, AOSD-Chandler, Assembly of Sound Doctrine Chandler. That's on YouTube, and that's one of my logos. And then this is another one of my logos, and it has a little of the Garden Ministries in it tied in as well, which is another part or another group that I actually do my authorship up under, as well as some of my esoteric knowledge up under. So, man, we got a lot of stuff going on right here. This all embodies Elvin Israel right here, my background.
Okay. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Bless up, man. It looks good, though.
I definitely appreciate that, my brother. I got a lot of brothers that's technically savvy and they can help me with all this, and the sister, she actually did some of this stuff as well. So
okay, yeah, and I'm gonna let you go, but I noticed some people in here. We got a couple people in here with us. Well, nobody left a chat. You guys feel free to leave a chat, and welcome to the platform. Like I said, brother Elvin's going to give us a good lesson, and he's going to defend the Bible. He's going to do what he was going to do in the debate, which was defend the Bible. So we're going to get a brother the floor. Yeah, brother, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell them where they can find you. You know the routine. They already know it because you've been here for so long. You become the face of debate talk for you.
I take it. Hey, I'm Mr. Undefeated himself.
Hey, here we go. Here we go. A lot of people would agree too.
All praise to the Most High.
All right, brother. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Then we're gonna get right on into it.
Okay, then, yes, sir. This is Elvin Israel, one of the instructors of RPK-Resurrection, Prophecy, and Kingdom, where we concentrate on those three tenets: resurrection, prophecy, and kingdom, as well as the lead instructor from AOSD-Defending, Assembly of Sound Doctrine Chandler, found on YouTube. If you have the chance, also, as you can tell in the screen, you'll see the Garden, one of the instructors of Garden Ministries. A shout out to all my full preterist brothers out there and the new full preterist people that's going to join the movement after I'm done with this discussion today. You can also go to Amazon, find my book that I co-authored with Michael Israel. It's called The Circumcision and Uncircumcision of Genesis chapter 1, Mysteries of the Garden Revealed. And what we try to do, we try to actually go inside of the Bible and explain some of the esoteric knowledge, because the not understanding the esoteric knowledge of the Bible is what's causing all of this biblical division today. So that's what we're trying to do, and hopefully some of that information be brought out in a way that everyone can understand today. So if you want to find me, go to my YouTube, go to Clubhouse, Assembly Sound Doctrine, or RPK University, and Garden Ministries. But we mainly be on RPK University and Assembly Sound Doctrine. So you can find me on Clubhouse or YouTube. Yes, sir. And I'm ready to start whenever you are. Shout out to Let's Glow and Grow. It's out there as well. Check her out. All right, my brother. Is my screen being shared? There we go, right there. And I appreciate that, my brother. Defending the Bible, taking ignorance captive by Elvin Israel. And the point today is, let me see if I can go to the next one. There we go. This is going to be my objective for today, since I'm not actually doing the debate. So shalom, everyone. And I appreciate you all for listening in. If you don't know me, or you do, I would like to introduce myself. I am Elvin Israel, one of the lead instructors of RPK, AOSD-CHANDR, and Garden Ministries. I am a defender of the New Covenant's gospel, not Old Covenant, not Old Testament, New Covenant's gospel. And I am on a mission to reintroduce the biblical Jesus, or however you want to pronounce his name. We're talking about the same character, to the world. The kingdom of heaven has been lost to so many, and it's time to be found again. What I plan on accomplishing in this lesson is to show how misinformation and confusion stemming from our Western world icons have caused many to err in scriptures and walk away from the faith. There is a lot of false information that has been passed down and spoken of as facts. Some of that information will be corrected this night, as I will defend the faith, February 8th, 2024. My objective is to bring Jesus back in a society that wants him and the Father eradicated. All of the church hurt has to be healed so we can build the kingdom of heaven like our foreparents did as they faced the good, bad, and ugly. If you still choose opposite of Jesus, opposite of the God of Israel, after this, it's not a debate, but lesson, at least you will be informed. If anyone wants to study with us, contact me. And if anyone wants to debate the undefeated Son of God, reach out. So now, what I want to accomplish first is I don't think my screen, it doesn't look like my screen is changing. Hold on. Is the screen changing on the debate talk?
No, I can't see it.
Okay, let me see if
What,
I can.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kick it out and then just bring it back, and we'll try it that way.
Okay then. Okay.
All right. So let me kick it. Oh man, I kicked him. Uh-oh. Let's see here. I apologize, you guys. Let me text him and make sure he's coming back. Let's see. Sorry about that. And once again, thank you guys for joining us. Um, let me see here. 1 second. We apologize for the delay. Okay. Ah, there you go.
Let's see if
There we go. My bad, man.
I know you good. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I kicked you on accident.
Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Is
There
that
you go.
showing up?
Ah, there you go. That's better. Can you make it a little bigger?
Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, I think it's real small on the phones.
Let me see. How's that right there?
Let me see. Hold on 1 second. It's just kicking in. Okay, that's better.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
that's readable.
I just read all that, y'all. So I'm gonna go to my next one. Let's see if it switch over for me.
All right. It's all yours, brother.
Okay, then do you see the one to say the Council of Nicaea? There we go. Okay, then.
Yep,
Yes,
it's up
sir.
there.
All righty. So let's get ready to continue to rock and roll. All right. The first thing I would like to discuss the Council of Nicaea myth, 325 AD. This is one of the points that my brother, who was supposed to debate me, brought up on how Constantine around 325 AD remixed and created the Bible. I'm finna go through this myth and debunk it using the information that anyone can look up. So we got something called, now hopefully I don't butcher these words, the Sinaiticus Vedas. And what the Sinaiticus Vedas is, it's a late 9th century Greek manuscript by an anonymous author. This is according to the Phoenix Seminary, John Mead in 2018. So this document, this manuscript came up late 9th century and it was written in Greek and no one knows the author of it. But this is what was stated happened in the 9th century. So we're talking about something that's supposed to happen in the 4th century and is spoken on in the 9th century. So now this is what is stated. The canonical and apocryphal books, it distinguished in the following manner that it is the Sinaiticus Vedas. This is what it says. In the house of God, the books were placed down by the holy altar. Then the council asked the Lord in prayer that the inspired works be found on top and the spurious on the bottom. So this is the Sinaiticus Vedas. In other words, and this is found in around line 35 or paragraph 35. I think it's line 35. Anyway, just look it up. It'll pull up for you. So in other words, what's stated here is that this document that just came the 9th century, late 9th century, by whoever wrote it, nobody knows. They said that during the Council of Nicaea, there was a bunch of manuscripts and they took the whole manuscript, the whole top bottom manuscripts, they put it on an altar and then they prayed to the Lord. Hey Lord, I want you to determine what should be called canonical and what should be called apocryphal. And the Lord responded and the apocryphal books hit the floor and the canonical books stayed on the altar. This was stated 9th century by who knows? Nobody knows who wrote it, but it just popped up in the 9th century. And people ran with it. They didn't care to verify it or nothing, even though there's no evidence that it's actually true. Just because somebody wrote it, they was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. Let's just do it and let's just run off with the information. So now let's find out how the information continued to be boggled up and and abused and misused. So now we got this 9th century manuscript. So now the Strasbourg theologian Johannes Pappus reproduced the Sinaiticus Vedas version sold to him several years earlier by the copyist and book dealer Andreas Dormarius in 1601. And there's the you can look up the information. This is found by John M. Duffy, John Parker. This was published by the trustees of Harvard University. So now we have a late 9th century document, and then we get to the 17th century 17th century. Someone sold their version of the Sinaiticus Vedas to, or I'm not even gonna say somebody, it's Andreas. So in the 17th century, Andreas Dormarius sold his version of the 9th century Sinaiticus Vedas to theologian Johannes Pappus. So now this is how the information got spread. This is how the information was able to move from one region to another region by copyists copying and selling it to each other. So where it started at in the 9th century, we see where it ended around the 17th century. So now, how did it get to us? In 2005, Dan Brown connected the Council of Nicaea to the creation of the Bible in his best-selling novel, The Da Vinci Code. So now, in the 9th century, it stated that the canonical and apocryphal books was separated by divine intervention. They prayed, and the Lord separated them by letting the apocryphal books fall on the ground and the canonical books stay on the altar. And that document gets passed on. It gets sold. It keep getting sold to different people until eventually it's made its way closer to the Western world. So now we have an author, Dan Brown. He gets a hold of some of the information as well. So this information is going, first of all, it started from a source nobody even know who created it. And then now we got Dan Brown in 2005. He's trying to create fiction novels. So he's introduced to some of this information as well. But if you say, well, maybe these are two different things. Maybe the Sinaiticus Vedas didn't have nothing to do with Dan Brown's way of connecting the Council of Nicaea. But this is what some of the people of our time is saying happened. You can research that on your own. But look at what people is getting the information, how the information evolved. Because according to the Sinaiticus Vedas, the council asked the Lord to do this, and the Lord responded to the council. So we got Dan Brown using a similar passage or a similar ideal, and look to what he says. According to the Da Vinci Code, which people actually quotes like it's the Bible, it's a fiction book. According to the Da Vinci Code, it was not the leaders of the church, but Constantine, the emperor, who collated and edited the books of the Bible at the Council of Nicaea. So now, as my brother stated, what my brother thought in the debate, Constantine came in and he the one who created the Bible, and it was a Constantine Bible and etc. Look how the information evolved. First in the 9th century, it was the council, and they prayed to the Lord, and the Lord did it through divine intervention. And eventually, we get to Dan Brown, and he said, no, it wasn't the council. It actually was Constantine by himself. He did it. So now let's continue. I'm going to actually read from the Da Vinci Code, the fiction work, for us all to see what people is using to speak against the Bible is not found in historical documentation, but a fiction book. You might as well open up things dealing with Santa Claus and quote it if we're going to use fiction to talk or dispute the Bible. You're using fiction to say the Bible is fiction. You're using fiction characters to say we shouldn't be in the Bible because this, and this is happening, not understanding you're quoting your information from a fiction novel. Let's keep going. The Da Vinci Code, chapter 55. Aha! T-Bing burst in with enthusiasm. The fundamental irony of Christianity, the Bible as we know it today, was collated by the pagan Roman Emperor Constantine the Great. Christians and pagans began warring, and the conflict grew to such proportions that it threatened to rend Rome in two. Constantine decided something had to be done. In 325 AD, he decided to unify Rome under a single, and let me see if I can move that. Yep, I can move it. Under a single religion, Christianity. I'm sorry, let me see if I can go back. There we go. Under a single religion, Christianity. Hold on. So this is all, these are different passages found in chapter 25. Hold on. You're saying Jesus' divinity was the result of a vote? A relatively close vote at that? T-Bing added, nonetheless, establishing Christ's divinity was critical to the further unification of the Roman Empire and to the new Vatican power base. Constantine commissioned and financed a new Bible, which omitted those gospels that spoke of Christ's human traits and embellished those gospels that made him godlike. The earlier gospels were outlawed, gathered up, and burned. This is exactly what people use to speak against the Bible. They literally are quoting from the Da Vinci Code, a fiction novel created by Dan Brown, to speak against the Bible. Understand what information you are using. You haven't researched this information to speak against the Bible, though you speak the information like it's facts. Let's keep going on. And I ask, so we are to believe the Antichrist. Listen to more about Mr. Brown. After his third novel, Deception Point, 2001, Brown returned to Langdon with the Da Vinci Code, a thriller that centers on art, history, Christianity's origins, and arcane theories. Attempting to solve the murder of the Louvre's curator, Langdon encounters mysterious organizations, the Opus Dei and the Priory of Sion, discusses the hidden messages in Leonardo da Vinci's art, raises the possibility that Jesus married Mary Magdalene and fathered a child, and discovers the Holy Grail. The Da Vinci Code proved controversial, and many theologians and art scholars dismissed Brown's notions because it's a fiction book. The novel, however, proved immensely popular with readers. By 2009, more than 80 million copies had been sold, and editions were available in some 40 languages. Now, don't you see how they used this book was popular, and they used the information from a popular murder novel to be used against the Bible. And people in the 21st century is believing the nonsense. It's information out there that's clearly showing that this guy had been debunked on a lot of the things that he was saying, and now you have people using the debunked information to speak against the Bible. They literally walk away from the faith using these talking points that's fake and false. Oh, don't you know that Constantine didn't do that? There's no proof outside of the Da Vinci Code that Constantine did any of that. And then you got the earlier, let me go back to it again. What is it called? The Sinaiticus Vedas. You got that manuscript, which we could clearly see that Mr. Brown used some of the information that came from it to formulate his novel. But you got the information from the Sinaiticus Vedas that was just a Greek manuscript. Nobody knows who's created it, who brought in these notions that the Lord they just put all kind of works on the altar, and the Lord said, hey, knock that off, and that's going to be the Apocrypha, and keep that on top of that. That's going to be the canonical gospel. This stuff is ridiculous, but people is using this information to walk away from the faith and to go into other stuff that ain't helping nobody. It ain't helping them. The stuff they go into, they are still depressed. They still feel like that they're less than. They still feel like that people should come together and bond together so we can create this utopia. But let's leave this alone. Let's leave this. Let's walk away from this because it ain't helping our people. Meanwhile, what they're saying is not helping our people. And then they come with this false information that sounds good. It sounds real good to a person that's downtrodden, to a person that's suffering, to a person that has questions. See, my debate opponent, he said he went through so many pastors asking them these questions that they could not answer. And I answered his questions with ease. Now, next thing I know, he can't do the debate because something else happened and he's forgetting about it. No offense to the brother, but I told him before he even accepted it, he's not ready yet. I don't know who he's been talking to, but I read the Bible. And if you don't read the Bible, and if you don't study ancient Hebraic understanding, you're not going to understand ancient Hebraic literature. But let's keep going on. This is my question. Why is it always the information that goes against the Bible that get pushed more and is believed even when the information is found to be completely fabricated and a straight up lie? People really know that this stuff when they research it, they know, they find out it's fabricated information, is a straight up lie, and they still say, don't do that Bible thing. What was we doing before we had Christianity? They don't even understand that Christianity was in Africa before there was a slave trade. But let's keep going on. Let's keep going. Now, when dealing with understanding the Bible, see, this is another problem. The Bible, once you go to the New Testament, because I'm a New Covenant gospel defender, the New Testament explains that only sent men is supposed to be teaching the scriptures. And what we have done with these theologian schools and these pastor schools and these pastors handing down the ministry to their family members and their friends, we had let everyone become a Bible teacher. Anyone who reads the Bible can become a Bible teacher. It doesn't matter their character, their upbringing, how their view, their morals, their values. It don't matter, none of that. As long as they can speak the word and they got a good people are going to follow them. Or as long as they can perpetuate the hate that other people feel, people is going to follow them. They don't understand that these people are not sent from God. These people are just regular people who have mental problems, and they're teaching you the Bible from their mental state. And then we wonder why so much of this bad stuff happen in church. They look at Christians like, how can you call yourself a Christian? And when the pastor is doing this, the first lady is doing that, the deacons is doing that. My parents was in the church and they treated me this way and that way. The gospel, the true Bible message that was created by Israel, it has been lost and it has been replaced. And now anybody who can read or memorize scriptures is in the forefront. Therefore, when their humanity comes out, when their wickedness comes out, now all of a sudden they're going to blame the Bible and Jesus and the church. No, it's these faulty people who y'all are under. No one tested their spirit in the beginning. It doesn't matter how big their church is or how small their church is. It doesn't matter how many verses they can quote. It doesn't matter how much Hebrew and Greek they can read. If they are wicked, they are wicked. But now, let me show you. I'm going to quote things from actual Jews. And let me show you how the Western world has gotten off. Y'all want to talk about can't nobody answer these biblical questions? It's because they don't understand the Bible. They didn't made the Bible be whatever their imagination came up with and not what ancient Israel was producing with the word. So now, this is Josephus right here. He lived between 37 through 100 AD. He's a contemporary to Jesus, Paul, and all of those individuals. A first century historian, a first century priest, a first century Jew. He dove in the Essenes, he dove in the Pharisees, he knew about the Sadducees. Look how he explained the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses. This is his explanation. It says, but because almost all our constitution depends on the wisdom of Moses, our legislator. But as for our legislator, when he had once demonstrated that God was possessed of perfect virtue, he supposed that men also ought to strive after the participation of it, aka just like our God has perfect virtue, mankind who's trying to follow God is supposed to have perfect virtue. And on those who did not so think and so believe, he inflicted the severest punishment. So on the wicked people get punished. That's what he's saying. For now, listen to how he explains the Torah, and let's see if your teachers explain the Torah like an ancient Jew who was a priest explained the Torah. It says, "For all things have here a reference to the nature of the universe." So, first of all, the universe is an aspect, while our legislator speaks some things wisely, but enigmatically. So now, first of all, let's look up the word enigmatic. I got it right here from the dictionary. Difficult to interpret or understand, mysterious. So these people who goes to Genesis and Exodus, Leviticus and Numbers, and they go into the prophets who actually is using Torah. They go into the New Testament who's actually using ideals from Torah and going back to Moses. Are these people telling you that Moses are speaking things that's difficult to interpret or understand, mysterious? No. What they're doing, they're making it hyper literal. There's no mystery. They're saying the words mean whatever they say. So, and then you listen to them because they sound smart. Oh, you can read that in Hebrew. Oh, okay, that's what it said in Hebrew. Oh, you can read that in Greek. Okay, the third, this is the first, second, singular, personal, this, and that. So that's what it means. Meanwhile, we have a person who actually spoke the language, who could read the language, who was actually a priest. He's saying that these words have a mystery behind it. These stories that you're trying to take hyper literal, the one that you're trying to make be dealing with science and all of that stuff, he's saying that these stories have a mystery that's difficult to interpret. Let's keep reading. He says, but enigmatically, and others under a decent allegory. Have anyone ever told you that the Torah has allegories in it? So while the people who's coming against the Bible, hey, that don't make sense. That don't make sense either. That don't make sense either. Look, that is it an allegory? Oh no, the words mean what they say. Hold on now, we got ancient people telling us that no, it's some allegory in there. Do you know where to find the allegory? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Do you know where to find the allegories in there? Do you know where to find the mysterious language in there? Or are you taking everything hyper literal? Let's keep going. He says, and others under a decent allegory, but still explains such things as required a direct explication plainly and expressively. So to explicate, to make plain and clear, to explain. Sorry about that. Let me go back. To explain, to interpret. So he said there's some things that Moses says that's plain and clear. He interprets some things. Other things are under a allegory. What is an allegory? A story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one. So he's saying some things are hard to understand, some things are an allegory, some things Moses explains clearly. Have any of your teachers explained that to you while you're trying to talk against the Bible? You got some people that follow the Bible to try to talk against Christians. You got some Christians that follow the Bible to try to talk against the Jews. And you got some Jews to talk against Muslims. You got Muslims. You got everybody talking against everybody. But have they actually sat down to explain or to study how ancient Israel viewed their scriptures? Let's keep reading. So that's Josephus. Now we got Philo, who was related to the priests. He was in Alexandria, Egypt, one of the biggest community of the Jews of the past time. He lived, scholars say, between 15 BCE and 41 AD. He's another contemporary to Paul, and etc. He's a Jew, a real Jew, who went through the temple and did all these other things. Let's look what he said about Moses. He says, and his exordium, as I have already said, is most admirable, embracing the creation of the world under the ideal that the law corresponds to the world and the world to the law. Now, did anyone broke down and said, hey, Josephus said the same thing. It's all about the universe. For all things have a reference to the nature of the universe. Has anyone ever sat down and said, hey, the law, it's actually like dealing with creation? See, when people see things like don't eat this, don't eat that, do this, do that, they take the word hyper literal. The Lord said, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So we don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But we have ancient Jews saying, hey, this stuff is more dealing with nature and etc. So what is the natural meaning? What in nature is he pulling from that relates to mankind? This is why I say, restudy the New Testament. Because if you don't, you're going to get confused with the Old Testament. And then once you start doing all of that, what's going to happen? We don't need the Bible because the Bible contradicts itself here and there. And it says, love your enemies. And I can't love my enemy. And I'll foolishness. And Constantine created this. And then they beat this in you. That's why we can't do it. And before that, what was we doing? We was kissing and hugging trees. All of that nonsense. Understand the biblical wisdom. Let's keep going though. It says, and a man who is obedient to the law, being by so doing a citizen of the world, arranges his actions with reference to the intention of nature in harmony with which the whole universal world is regulated. Don't you see now? Being in harmony with God's creation, that's what the law was supposed to be, was supposed to uh, um, get people to. And then people uses the Bible for separation. But what these people are saying is the Bible is trying to make people be in harmony. But then you got the people who don't understand the Bible. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. If you do this, 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 and this, and the Bible say don't do this, I can't be a part of you. Let's separate. Meanwhile, the Bible is trying to show people how to be in harmony with each other. But let's keep going on. Because I'm finna break down some things from you that I know your pastors and your teachers and your camp leaders and your atheist provider and etc. haven't told you yet. Oh yeah, I'm finna tell you something that's very enigmatic that you haven't heard yet. Let's look at heaven and earth. This is Philo, relation to the priest, well renowned back in the days. Look what he stated about this heaven and earth. If you tell a Westerner right now, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, what was he talking about? They're going to tell you he's talking about sky and ground. In the beginning, he created the sky and the ground, and then the suns and the moons and the plants and the earth. And that's my brother who was my debate opponent. I hate that he's not here right now. He's like, hey, how can light be right here on day 2 and the sun be right there on day 4? Because you don't understand what's being stated here. You let a Western person from the Western world who has not studied the ancient Israelite mindset try to explain the Bible to you, and your common sense told you that don't work. And you ran off because of a misunderstood point in that scripture. You ran off and you used that as your talking point to take other people from the Bible. Now, can't nobody answer it. Can't no preacher answer. Hey, why is it light right here and then the sun is right there? How do the light come before the sun? See, that don't make sense. Let's go from an ancient Israelite perspective and see, maybe, just maybe, we can go this. Okay, right. Okay, bet. And the heaven and the earth and all their world was completed. This is Philo. This is from Philo's explanation dealing with on creation. This is your Genesis chapter 2. Having previously related the creation of the mind and of sense, Moses now proceeds to describe the perfection which was brought about by them both. And he says that neither the indivisible mind nor the particular sensations received perfection, but only ideals. One, the ideal of the mind, and the other of sensation. And speaking symbolically, you see how Josephus said that Moses spoke some things wisely, but enigmatically difficult to understand or interpret. And speaking symbolically, he calls the mind heaven, since the natures which can only be comprehended by the intellect are in heaven. And sensation he calls earth, because it is sensation which has obtained a corporal and somewhat earthy constitution. Now, did your leaders, your camp leaders, your pastors, your preachers, your neighbors, your fathers, your daughters, whoever, did they explain to you from the ancient Israelite perspective that there were some people in the ancient world that believed that he wasn't talking about sky and ground, but he was actually talking about the mind and the sensation? And he's speaking the heaven and earth symbolically because it represents something else. So when these people try to come in with all these contradictions, hey, Genesis 1 says this, Genesis 2 says that, Genesis 3 says this, Genesis 4, this all don't make sense. So how can this do you know what it's talking about? Not what it's talking about to you, but what it was talking about to the people it was created for and was passed down to you. I don't care if you are a recent Israelite or an ancient, well, if you're a recent Israelite or American, this information is passed down to us. It was actually written to a specific group of people at a specific time. And the people that was under the old covenant, like Josephus and Philo was, under the old covenant, under the Torah, under the law, they are saying the things that Moses is saying is hard to understand. It's under a decent allegory, and he makes things clear what he feels need to be made clear. Let's keep going on. This is how some of the ancients understood scriptures. Here's more. This is another thing from Philo. He says, since we shall neglect the laws about the due observance of the ceremonies in the temple and numbers of others too, if we exclude all figurative interpretation and attend only to those things which are expressly ordained in plain words. But it is right to think that this class of things resembles the body and the other class the soul. So what he just stated there was, if you take out the figurative interpretation of some of the things in the law, then you are neglecting to do the law. And then he explains that the law can be looked at of two classes: things that resembles the body, aka the natural, and things that resembles the soul, aka things spiritual. So he's looking at the law, he's saying there's a natural application and there's a spiritual application. And if you neglect the spiritual application, you are neglecting doing the law. Did anybody teach us that? Have we learned that? Or we're just gonna make it up? Let's keep going on. And God promises the man who enjoys such a peace as this a glorious age. So you know how people's talking about they want to live long in the Lord, have eternal life, everlasting life. Philo is fin to explain how some of these things need to be interpreted. Let's give you an example. He says, and God promised the man who enjoys such a peace as this a glorious old age, not indeed one which shall last an exceeding time, but he promises him a life with wisdom. For tranquility and happiness are better than length of years, in proportion as a short period of light is better than everlasting darkness. For well did one of the prophets say, he had rather live one day in the company of virtue than 10,000 years in the shadow of death. So right here, he's giving an example on how people, when you're reading Moses and the law and etc., talking about everlasting life and etc., and people think it's talking about living a long time. He's like, no, it's actually talking about living a life with wisdom. That's going to be your happiness. That's going to be your long life. Not talking about extending days. So once you go to Isaiah, you know, in Isaiah it says a young man is going to, let's say, an old man is going to die 100. Sorry, a sinner is going to die 100 years, and a young baby is going to die 100 years, and etc. How it's using 100 years, but both of them. In other words, one has wisdom, the other one is in darkness. See? Listen, let's keep going on. Listen, therefore, in such a spirit as to think his words a good lesson to this statement of the lawgiver, that the good man alone has a happy old age, and that he is the most long-lived of men. But the wicked man is the most short-lived of man, living only to die. Let me see if I can move that out the way. Living only to die, or rather having already died as to the life of virtue. So we can even get on what death and life means according to ancient Israel, but I'm not going to do that tonight. Let's go to Origin, 2nd, 3rd century. We got Origin, a Christian apologetic, 185 through 254 AD. Let's look at what he says, looking at Torah, looking at the early writings of Moses. So we got Josephus, 1st century. We got Philo from the BC to AD 1st century. And now we're going to cover 2nd and 3rd century. We got a Christian now. Let's see what he says. The first, this is from Homilies 1.2 on Genesis. The first heaven indeed, which we said is spiritual, is our mind, which is an it messed it up. I'm sorry, which is also itself spirit. That is our spiritual man, which sees and perceives God. But that corporal heaven, which is called the firmament, is our outer man, which looks at things in a corporeal way. So we got people from different areas, and different eras of time in the ancient world, looking at Moses and saying, hey, this is about our mind. This is about how we look at things in a way of virtue and a way of vice. But today, in the 21st century in the Western world, people tell us this is about sky and ground, and the Lord is going to come. He's going to destroy this ground and create another ground and another sky, and then we're going to live with the Lord in the heaven and the sky. And then you got people who have common sense say, why I got to get my heaven when I die? Meanwhile, my enemies have their heaven right here on earth. Oh no, I don't want that religion. That what you're saying right there is telling me I gotta die. I gotta suffer all on earth in order to get some type of paradise when I die. I don't want that. No deal. Let me walk away from that understanding. Let me walk away from that Bible. Let me walk away from Christianity. Let's go into something else because I don't like that. Meanwhile, that's not even what the ancient words actually meant, and that's not what they taught. This is something new from people who don't supposed to be teaching this stuff. They're making it up as it goes, and your common sense is telling you it don't make sense. Let's walk away from the Bible. We're going to take captive ignorance. We're going to take ignorance captive tonight and give us the true understanding. And with that understanding, do what you want with it. That's on you then. Let's keep going. He says, far from the prophetic scriptures in which historical events are recorded. So this is Origin against Celsus. Let me say it again. For from the prophetic scriptures in which historical events are recorded, not from the historical. So he said, let me show you something that's recorded from the scriptures and not history. Let me show you, see, the scriptures and the history is speaking on the same event. Give me 1 second. Let me drink a little of this water. He's saying the scriptures and history is speaking on the same event, but you got something written in a history book about this event, and you got something written in scriptures about this same event. So now let me explain something. This is Origin explaining. It is possible to be convinced that the historical portions also were written in an allegorical purpose and were most skillfully adapted not only to the multitude of the simpler believers, but also to the few who are able or willing to investigate matters in an intelligent spirit. So what he says is, when a person looks at history and they're trying to compare it to scriptures and say, hey, the scripture said this happened in history, and when I go into the historical documentation that the scriptures have, it don't happen like that in history. So I'm gonna walk away because they lying. It's a false book. I'm gonna walk away. They lying because it says this happened in the Bible, but when I go to the history book, it didn't happen like that. So somebody lying. It's the Bible. Let me walk away. Meanwhile, we got people from the teachers from the ancient worlds is saying it's written like that for an allegorical purpose. It's not written like that for you to get historical information from it. Close the history books, close the newspapers, turn off CNN, turn off Fox News. That's not going to give you what the ancient Bible was talking about, what the ancient writings written 2,000 to 5,000, 6,000 years ago. That's not what they're talking about. Close the modern contemporary news and go back and study, understand what's being said allegorical. There's a way that you, as a simple understanding, can read it, but for the people who have an intelligent spirit, you're supposed to read it another way. Let's keep going. And I'm about to wrap up, y'all. Thank y'all for listening in. Everybody just listening on. This is Eusebius. We got another 3rd, 4th century, 260 to 339 AD, according to scholars. Another Christian apologetic. He's actually the one who created the ecclesiastical church history. He broke down on how the church came to be. He's starting at the ancient world, the ministry of Christ, and etc. Look what he quoted out of Philo, and he brought this to the Christians of his days, 260 to 339 AD. So we're probably talking about when he's not a baby, when he's in his grown-up years. But listen to what he says. And after some other matters, he says, the whole interval from morning to evening is for them a time of exercise, for they read the Holy Scriptures. First of all, he's saying these people exercise from morning to evening reading the Holy Scriptures. You don't got people doing that today, and they're trying to teach you the Bible. They tell me I go too long because I go an hour and a half or 2. Meanwhile, these people was going from morning to evening. And y'all want the Bible to be a TikTok today. You want the Bible to be 60 to 90 seconds. You want to learn everything you can learn in 90 seconds about the Bible just for you to say, oh, it contradicts each other. Let's walk away. Let's go back to something else. Meanwhile, the people of the ancient world who took it seriously, who actually understood it, who had the mindset to take it seriously, this is how they did it. Now, see if what they're doing is what you're doing while you're trying to tell us the Bible is fake. It says, for they read the Holy Scriptures and explain the philosophy of their fathers in an allegorical manner, regarding the written words as symbols of hidden truth, which is communicated in obscure figures. You see, everybody ain't supposed to be teaching. Everybody ain't supposed to be teaching the Bible. Did they tell y'all that the ancient world? This is Christians now. This is past the Jews. Well, this is Jews and converts alike. Did they explain to y'all that the ancient world looked at the words in the Bible and explained them as symbols of hidden truth, meaning it says this, but let me give you the hidden truth behind it. Did they do that to y'all? Or did they say Jonah was swallowed by a whale? The whale spit Jonah out 3 days later. Oh man, how could a man be in a fish for 3 days? He would have died. The digestive system, the enzymes from the whale's belly would have sawed him up, and he would have been like acid. And how could he go without eating? And he couldn't breathe in the whale belly. And how big does the whale have to be in order to swallow a man whole? And is a man gonna be inside of a belly? Is he gonna be praying, etc.? I'm gonna leave that alone. That don't make sense. You see, this is the problem. The wrong people are teaching the Bible. It says, which is communicated in obscure figures. And this is when people, the New Testament followers, when Christ said, the scriptures is a testimony of me and written of me. Then you got the people who don't believe the New Testament. No, it says plainly here, this is David, this is Solomon, this is Hezekiah, this is going to be whomever else, this is Moses, this is Noah, this is name any king and etc. There ain't anything about a Jesus. Meanwhile, the ancient world believed that these is symbols of hidden truth. These people. But anyway, they have also writings of ancient men who were the founders of their sect, who left many monuments of the allegorical method. These they use as models and imitate their principles. These things seem to have been stated by a man who had heard them expounding their sacred writings. But it is highly probable that the works of the ancients, which he says they had, were the Gospels and the writings of the apostles, and probably some expositions of the ancient prophets, such as are contained in the epistle to the Hebrews and in many others of Paul's epistles. So he said, hey, he's comparing what Philo wrote. It sounds just like what the Christians was doing. So if these people were not Christians, they're doing the same thing as Christians do. So that it shows you how Christians function in the ancient world using the scriptures. And notice, he included the Gospels, the writing of the apostles, the epistle to the Hebrews, and many of Paul's epistles. What do they have? Symbols of hidden truth. Symbols of hidden truth. Written in an allegorical manner. Did anybody tell you that Paul's writings had symbols of hidden truth and was written in an allegorical manner for something deeper? Did anybody tell you the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, that they had symbols written in a way for people who had an intelligent spirit to decipher the allegorical meaning of it all and take that information to the masses? Or did they tell you Jesus walked on water? Yeah, he changed wine. He changed the water to wine. That's what it means. Yeah, he walked on water. That's what it means. He told the storm to be quiet. Yeah, that's what it means. He took a piece of bread and fed the 5,000 and the 2 fishes. Yeah, that's what that means. That's what he did. They don't tell you what that actually means. Even in the gospel, Jesus said, hey, you don't know what this means? But anyway, let's keep going on. This is Clement of Alexandria. Clement, 150 through 250 AD. We're in 2nd, 3rd century. Listen to what he says about the creation. For the creations on the different days followed in a most important succession, so that all things brought into existence may have honor from priority, created together in thought, but not being of equal worth. Nor was the creation of each signified by the voice, inasmuch as the creative work is said to have made them at once. For something must needs have been named first, Wherefore those things were announced first, from which came those that were second. All things being originated together from one essence by one power. For the will of God was one in one identity. And how could creation take place in time, seeing time was born along with things which exist? So, in other words, this is what he's saying. Another person who said he learned from the apostles, Clement of Alexandria, and etc., from their understanding. Listen to what he says. He is saying that things were not created in succession. So, in other words, when people look at this was created on day one, this was created on day two, this is created on day three, this is created on day four, this is created on day five. He stated that from what he learned, this is not talking about what was created on day one, day two, day three, day four, day five. What Moses is actually doing is he's stating things in an order of importance, not of succession, but importance. He's saying all things was created together, but in order of importance. That's why it's separated by day one, day two, day three, day four, day five, day six, and day seven. That's the order of importance, not of succession. Have anybody gave you that point of view? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So now I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Trust me. This is what our debate was supposed to be on. Genesis 1 through 5, could we defend it? And I'm going to show the esoteric synopsis being defended. You got Genesis 1, the creation of the mind and its attributes. What happened in Genesis 1 for the plain reading? Mankind can be the image of God. In Genesis 1, we have mankind being introduced as the image of God. Genesis 1, the creation of the mind and its attributes. So if you go through all of the animals, all of the plants, and etc., these are all attributes of the mentality of man. Get you a philo, read it. These are all the attributes of the mentality of man. And once we get down to the end of Genesis 1, what are we told? If man have those great attributes and do well with those attributes, he can be in the image of God, dealing with virtue. What happens in Genesis chapter 2? The mind becomes aligned with the true God. What happens in Genesis chapter 2 in the reading? Mankind doesn't need to have a complex insight to have a relationship with God. So what's happening here? If you go to Genesis 2, the mind gets the breath of life. He breathes into man the breath of life, and only thing he tells man is, don't eat from this tree of knowledge of good and evil. Stick with the tree of life, aka man don't have to have complex insight, knowledge of good and evil, complex insight to have a relationship with God. He breathed into mankind the breath of life. He breathed into that mind the consciousness of his existence, and that's all man needed. He didn't need to go through laws and statutes and commandments and the Pythagorean theorem, and to understand how atoms work and to understand photosynthesis and all these other things. Man didn't have to do none of that to have a relationship with God. That's what Genesis 2 was trying to explain to us. Genesis chapter 3, a mind that has God, once he endows, once he gets into that scientific phase, into that always wanted to learn wisdom, the mind becomes apostate. What happens in Genesis chapter 3? Leaving the simplicity of God for a carnal cause has dire effects, but he always has a plan for your redemption. So even when your mind becomes apostate, God has a way for you to come back to him. That's what Genesis 3 actually tells. What happens in Genesis 3? When they eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they suffer dire effects. Now they have this wisdom that they was wanting. Now they got to find a way to live outside of the nature of God. But there's a plan for your redemption. What did he tell the woman? Eventually, there's going to be a son that's going to have enmity between that pleasure, between that serpent, and that son will indeed be victorious, aka a plan for your redemption. Genesis 4, a mind that has completely left virtue. What happens in Genesis 4 when the mind, so what's going on in Genesis is showing the digression of the mind. So now in Genesis 4, the mind has digressed even more. Once the mind is set on carnality, the mind that has ate tree of knowledge of good and evil, all of this carnal stuff, as its true way of existence, it kills virtue. But God does not give up on you and will provide ways you can resurrect the virtue you killed. And what do we see here? We got a killing, we have a murder. Cain killed Abel. We have a murder. Cain kills Abel. That mind is carnal now. It has killed virtue. Abel represents the virtue. That mind has killed virtue, but God has a way to resurrect the virtue you killed. What happened in Genesis 4? Seth is brought up to replace the virtue, the mind that was killed by Cain. Seth replaced Abel. The Lord has a way to resurrect the virtue you killed. Understand the esoteric information going on. You got to quit listening to people who teach the Bible like it's a fiction novel. You got to get into the spirit. That's why everybody wasn't meant to teach the Bible. Everybody wasn't teaching the Bible back then. They had learned men. But let's keep going on. Genesis 5. A mind producing more characteristics resulting in personality. What happens in Genesis 5? Mankind's personality is based upon what they produce inwardly. For those whose mind is aligned with God, there is a promise of rest and comfort. If you go to Genesis 5, you see the genealogy. What's happening in the genealogy? The son is being produced by the father. The mind is producing what it is. If it's virtue, it's producing virtue. If it's wicked, it's producing wickedness. And at the end, when it produces virtue, that good mind that produces virtue, what happens? A person is born in Genesis 5. Noah. Noah represents that promise of rest and comfort. Look at Noah's name. It represents that rest and comfort. Noah is produced in Genesis 5. Genesis 5, after your mind, your personality produces itself. If you have a virtuous personality, like the virtue of God, then there's a promise of rest and comfort for you. You're not understanding the Bible. You're still trying to teach it like a Western person. You're trying to teach the Bible like it was created by Stephen King, by John Carpenter, by that dude who created the Da Vinci Code, Don Jackson. You're trying to teach the Bible like American people created it. American people did not create the Bible. Ancient Eastern people who was looking at the world through what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Correspondences. They're looking at the world through correspondences, and they're writing what the Spirit is showing them in allegorical form to teach generations to come. Americans or the Western world or the late church fathers got it and they took the meaning from it and made it be hyper literal. And now people are trying to walk away from the hyper literal. So now I only got a few more slides, and this is the deeper knowledge. This is what Philo stated about Moses again. So I want you to know the background of the person who created the Torah. because if you know his background, and I got like 4 more slides left. If you know his background, you will understand why Moses is supposed to be read a certain way. It says, now this is him as a youth. Accordingly, he speedily learned arithmetic, um, arithmetic and geometry, and the whole science of rhythm and harmony and metry, and the whole of music by means of the use of musical instruments and by lectures of the different arts. Understand, he was in the king palace. He's learning all this information while being in the king's palace, and by explanations of each topic. And lessons on these subjects were given him by Egyptian philosophers who also taught him the philosophy which is contained in symbols which they exhibit in those sacred characters of hieroglyphs, as they are called, and also that philosophy which is conversant with about that respect which they pay to animals, which they invest with the honors due to God, and all the other branches of the encyclical education he learned from Greeks. And the philosophers from the adjacent countries taught him Assyrian literature and the knowledge of the heavenly bodies, so much studied by the Chaldeans. So, do you see Moses' education according to ancient Israel? You see Moses' education? And what people would try to tell you is Moses forgot all that stuff he learned and only made information that Western people in America can understand. So forget all the philosophy he learned from the Egyptians and the Greeks and the Assyrians and the Chaldeans. Forget the astronomy, astrology, the how he learned about the different vibrations of the musical instruments and all the things he learned about different arts and the hieroglyphs and all that stuff. Forget all of that information. He forgot all of that information. And then on top of that, him being that intelligent, then he gets the Holy Spirit, was more intelligent. Forget all of that. He created literature that a 5-year-old could understand. No, sir. No, ma'am. He was considered a very intelligent person. This very intelligent person created literature based off of the information that he knew via the Holy Spirit, and he wrote it and described it. So, when you're looking at Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, which is the backbone of the prophets and the New Testament, once you're looking at Genesis through Deuteronomy, understand there's going to be some Egyptian knowledge in there. There's going to be some Chaldean knowledge in there. There's going to be some Assyrian knowledge in there. There's going to be some Greek knowledge in there. There's going to be some philosophy. This is why Josephus said Moses is writing things enigmatically and in a decent allegory. This is why Philo was saying Moses is writing things in an allegory and well, he just said allegory. And if you could read more, this is him talking about right here how they praise Moses. But let's keep going on. Clement was saying some of these things are written hard to understand. Origin is saying these things are written in an allegorical manner. Eusebius is saying the people who received these ancient texts were explaining them in an allegorical manner because they understood the deeper information under the words. And then you got people in America saying the words are hyperliteral, they don't make sense, walk away from the Bible. Let's keep going on. This is what Josephus said in the Antiquity of the Jews about Moses. About what Moses wrote about Abraham. So this is what he said about Abraham. I want you to understand the prophets. Abraham was supposed to be the father of the faith. He the one was supposed to be the father of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. This is what Josephus stated how they viewed Abraham from the writings of Moses. He communicated to them the arithmetic and delivered to them the science of astronomy. See, this is going to be very important in a second. For before Abraham came into Egypt, they were unacquainted with those parts of learning, for that science came from the Chaldeans into Egypt, and from thence to the Greeks also. So you see, while how some of these cultures have the similar information, and you see how the forefather of the faith knew science, he knew astronomy, and the same and Greeks, sorry, the Greeks knew science, and the Chaldeans knew science too, and the Egyptians knew science too, and their information was sort of similar. He's talking to people who have a understanding on how the ancient world worked. The writings was written by people who understood how the ancient world worked, to people who understood how the ancient world worked. And and when I mean those people, those are people who got the Holy Spirit and was able to teach what it actually meant. I'm talking about the wise people here, not your everyday people. So look what's said in Daniel 1 and 20 out of the King James Version. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding, that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Daniel, these individuals was found to have wisdom and understanding that was considered 10 times better than the magicians and astrologers. So when you read Daniel, see, when you get to Daniel 2, Daniel 8, Daniel 9, Daniel 10, Daniel 11, Daniel 12, understand this is from a point of view of a person that knows more than the astrologers and magicians and the wise people of the time of that time in Babylon. So quit thinking Daniel 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's supposed to be comprehended by Americans. Quit letting American people teach you these books. Because when they get to Daniel 12 talking about the dead is going to rise, the Americans tell you this is about dead people coming out of the ground, putting on some type of skin, and they're going to walk somewhere. And then people who have common sense say, that don't make no sense at all. I'm going to walk away from the Bible. Let me walk away from the Bible. That just said people are going to come out of the grave. What about the people that was burned up? What about the people that was chopped up? What about the people that had acid in their body? What about the people that had disease? What about all these people? You mean to tell me the Lord is going to put them back together? Why even have a body that can be destroyed if all the thing he's going to do is put them back together? That don't make no sense. Let me walk away from it because they don't understand the deeper information, the wisdom that's being poured in these scriptures. They're taking it as hyper literal. All right, so now I'm gonna give you some homework to do. Let me give you homework to do. I didn't even know I could be showed on camera. My bad, y'all. Hope I didn't do nothing crazy. Let me give you some homework to do. How the scriptures were created. This is for the people who be like, "Hey, man, this Bible was fabricated. It was borrowed from ancient Mesopotamia. The Samaritans did it. They took the Bible and icky, they remixed it, and they did all this other stuff with the Bible, and it's fake and it's false, and this is all about Inky and Gunyi and all them other people, and this is Buddha. Look, this is how the Bible was created. Purchase these books. Heavily writing the Celestial Code of Scripture with John McHugh, and the Mystery of the Masoret with Tim Warner. What these books do, I'm gonna read it. These books are telling us about what the constellations say, what the constellations taught. See, people don't understand there's a heavenly writing and there's earthly writing. And when it was speaking of in the earlier, when we was talking about how how Moses learned the knowledge of the heavenly bodies, how Abraham knew the science of astronomy, how Daniel was wiser than the astrologers. Why? Why is that important? Did y'all not know to the ancient world, the stars in the sky taught stories? Let me give you some of the stories that the stars in the sky taught when you're talking about the Bible plagiarized people. Let me tell you how the Bible came to be. This is found in the heavenly stars, the Garden of Eden, Noah's Ark, Jonah's 3-day confinement in the belly of the sea serpent, Samson's slaughter of 1,000 Philistines with the mere jawbone of an ass, Jesus' birth, the walk across the Sea of Galilee, and the Mazareth, which is the constellation, the 12 constellations, and the Bible contain the same prophetic story. Israel's history written in advance. This story begins with God's covenant with Abraham and ends with its ultimate fulfillment, the Messiah's kingdom. Do you not know that the entire everything I just named is written in the constellations? Before cuneiform, the ancient language, I believe, of the Mesopotamia, if I'm correct. But the cuneiforms, let's look it up. Let's look up cuneiform. Before all these languages was written, did you not know that these stories was already passed down in the stars, in the constellations? What the Bible did was they transcribed the constellation into literature. People were not going around creating these things. They're looking at the constellations in the sky and they're passing this information down to each other. The Babylonians, the Medians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, Mesopotamians, the Samaritans, and etc. They all have this understanding on what the constellations mean, and they give it their own culture remix, but it's the same story that's written different ways depending on the culture. But it's the same story. So the Bible, why y'all talking about it's fake, it's phony, let's walk away from it. Let's go back to the original. God, if you believe in a God, he created the Bible. He created the stories. Literally, they're literally coming from the stars. And what the prophets did, they wrote it down. And they all told, because the constellations seem to be talking about this one messianic figure coming to do something great. And what the Bible does, it gives us that same understanding that this messianic figure is coming to do something great. It's starting with the mind, and he's showing people how to get back the mind of God. That's the greatness. How to get people from darkness, from sin, from killing and stealing and robbing and not pillaging each other, to back loving each other. And that story is written in the stars. So that's where it's coming from. We're not making it up. The Christians didn't make it up. Once you walk away from the Bible, which is going to be the closest information we have to the message in the stars right now, you're walking away from the original message from the universe. And you're trying to trade it in for some jackknife stuff that don't work, some jackleg stuff that don't work. It never worked. So now, here's the point of it all. Genesis 3, and all this is found in the stars. Get those books. Once again, sorry. It's these books right here, heavily writing under Celestial Code of Scriptures, John McHugh, and the Mystery of the Mazareth, Tim Warner. Or you can YouTube some of this stuff. But this is the point of it all. Therefore, this is what happened in Genesis 3:23. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. Revelation 22:2. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manners of fruit, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree was for the healing of the nations. Genesis 3, man left out of the garden. Revelation 22, man now has access back to the garden. That's the whole point, mentally, being a new creation, a new creature. So now, the voices of the old. This is for my people who say, what happened in slavery, they beat Christianity into us. Why would you have a religion that came from your oppressors and those oppressors beat Christianity in you? Why would you want that? First of all, Christianity originated in Israel and then in Africa, and then eventually it came over to the Americas. As for so Christianity predates slavery. That's one. So quit using the whole slavery narrative about Christianity. It don't make sense. That's not what happened. Anybody can misuse any information. If you give somebody a gun, the wrong person, they misuse it and do crazy stuff with it. Come on, y'all. Let's think. Quit trying to use these old arguments that's left by ignorant people. We're taking ignorance captive tonight. So now, this is for the voices of the old South. Eyewitnesses accounts, 1528 through 1861. This is around, the Geneva Bible was created in what, 1580? Well, we have 1560, and then we got a 1611 KJV, and etc. So, but anyway, this is 1528 through 1861. Voices of the Old South, edited by Alan Galley. This is about eyewitnesses account. I'm going to read from page 177. This is autobiographies and etc. The instruction of the clergy of South Carolina given to Mr. Johnston. This is not a made-up fiction book. This is true. It's the conversions of the slaves into Christianity. He gives like 5 or 6 different ones. I'm going to say what he says thirdly. It says, the masters of slaves are generally of opinion that a slave grows worse by being a Christian. And therefore, instead of instructing them in the principles of Christianity, which is undoubtedly their duty, they malign, introduce those that attempt it. This, I say, is the case of most masters. However, I must not forget to do justice to some who have distinguished themselves by a contrary practice and are very eminent for the care they take about their slaves in matters of religion. Fourthly, the legislator does not countenance or encourage a work of this importance as much as it should or could. The conversion of slaves is thought inconsistent with the planter's secular interest and advantage, and it is they that make up the bulk of our assembly. For besides the general notion that they have their slaves being worse for being Christians, they know that if they would encourage their conversion, they must allow them some reasonable time for their instruction, and this would consequently be a hindrance to their work and abatement of the master's profit. Okay, this is Voices of the South, eyewitnesses account. Now this is just South Carolina. Well, what I'm reading right here, this just came from South Carolina, right? Instructions of the clergy of South Carolina given to Mr. Johnston. Gideon Johnston was a SPG missionary in South Carolina. Johnston, as commissary, did not have the power of a bishop, but nevertheless was responsible for the other ministers in the colony. As spokesperson for the colony's SPG missionaries, Johnston in 1713 drew up a list of grievances and a response to the instructions received by the clergy from the SPG. The following excerpt provides the missionaries' response to the SPG's charge that they actively pursue the conversion of South Carolina slaves. So here, I don't know if it's every plantation or what, but here in the 1700s, dealing with Christianity, it was stated that the general opinion was that a slave grows worse by being a Christian because all of the things that came with being a Christian. Now, all that they beat slave in us, they beat Christianity into us. They beat Christianity into us, and they took our religion away, and they did all of this. All I'm saying is, there's evidence that that didn't happen everywhere. There's evidence that Christianity actually was a bad thing for the slave masters. So all I'm saying is that maybe the talking points that you are using are outdated and they came from ignorant people who don't have any spiritual knowledge. So they say whatever comes to their mind that sounds good. That's all I wanted to state. So now, this is my conclusion. The Bible is indeed one of the most wise but controversial works of wisdom we have to this day. When taken out of its historical and cultural settings, it causes strife and division. Many have used this work as a means of hatred and confusion. Men have gotten a hold of this material and taken others captive by misrepresenting it. I hope I have helped cure some of the diseases of ignorance, dealing with the wrong ones, speaking from these oracles, and mishandling the word of God. I offer anyone that has an ear to research full preterism and come to our clubhouse, RPK University, Assembly Sound Doctrine, and YouTube channel, RPK Resurrection Prophecy and Kingdom, The Garden Ministries, AOSD-Chandler. Even on TikTok, King Donnell, KINGDONEL, and Batson Better Life, BATSONBETTERLIFE. Let's break bread and bring Jesus and his kingdom back. Thank you, Brother Vinny, for letting me do this. All praise to the Most High. Thank everyone for listening in. And I'm here. All right, thank you, my brother.
Oh yeah, it's all good, man. Great presentation, man. A lot of power packed information. I don't want to, make no jokes about it, but man, maybe the brother got a whiff of what you was about to bring out.
Amen. All praise.
He said, "You want some of this, old man?" No.
All praises. Shout out to the brother. He got his running shoes on. Shout out
Yeah. Nah. That brother will get back into it when
all
he can. Hopefully everything's all right with him.
Yes,
but yeah, that was a great presentation, man. That's a lot of information. I hope y'all got y'all pens and y'all papers out. Maybe y'all want to answer some questions. You want to see if somebody want to come up and ask some questions with you, or
yes, sir. Now, my mouse has froze. So hold on. Okay, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm down with that.
Okay. You want to take this down, or?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and take that down. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna copy the link and put it in the chat just in case you guys want to come up and ask a couple questions, or give a comment or two. Tell us what you felt was good about the presentation, what stuck out in your minds. It's always something. Let me just go ahead and copy this thing here. The brother put a lot of work into it, man. That was a lot of slides, and they all look good. Man, I was interested to see what that debate was going to look like, man.
Same way.
Yeah, that was going to be a good one.
Yes,
but, oh, well. Things happen, man. Life happens. So let me go ahead and put this in the chat. And just let me give a couple shout outs too. Shalom, SF Wisdom. SF Wisdom is the one who did the flyer, you guys. So the one that you see in the thumbnail on the YouTube video, that is the work of SF Wisdom. His information is in the description box if you need any flyer work done or any kind of visual arts. So go ahead and check out these descriptions for both of these brothers. Okay. We also got Miss Catherine Chandler. Hello, Miss Catherine.
That's my
Thanks for
mom.
joining. I'll teach my son. Uh-oh.
That's my
What?
mom.
Wait. Let me channel. Teach my son.
Yeah, that's my mom.
That's mom's.
Yeah.
Oh,
um,
shalom, moms. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. You raised a pretty bright and intelligent young man there, man. You got people running from him and
for
stuff, you
sure.
know.
All praise.
All right. And then let's glow and grow. Yeah, she's always here. She's become a regular.
That's my lady.
We'd like to say thank you for joining us. It definitely was a fire presentation. We also got Drake Lamont in the house. Drake Lamont, uh, all fire, all praises to the Most High. Beautiful. He's speechless. And I think we got one more person up there. Oh, there we go. Global Media Inc. Global Media Inc.'s been supporting Sal Showtime for a long time. Shout out to you, brothers. You guys, if you want some more information, you can go check his YouTube channel out, Global Media Inc. Brother got some good information on there too. And I think that might be it for the commentators. And everybody else who came in and who's here now that didn't comment, just enjoyed the show. We appreciate you. Salute to you guys. Hopefully, the Most High blesses you and your households. Um, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this link in the chat. And if anybody wants to come up and give any comments about what the brother just presented, if you have any questions, if you want to debate, I don't know. Let's see. So the link is going in the chat. We'll stay for a couple more minutes. A few more minutes, and we'll see if anybody wants to join in here. Oh, we got another one. Slick Talk Boss. Talk Boss. Shalom to you, brother. Shalom to you. And yeah, man, that was a pretty good. You know what? I think most people who kick against the Bible, I don't. Most of them don't really study it. Some of them do. Most of them don't study at all, though. They take these like little bits and pieces that they hear from everybody else or YouTube channels or just somebody who speaks really well, and then they convince people and then that becomes an argument,
Facts.
but they don't really study it, I mean, but the information that they believe in, I bet you I guarantee you that they out there studying that thing like,
Facts. Facts.
at least a third of the day,
Facts.
so I mean, if you're not going to give the same credence to the if you're not going to give the same credence to the Bible before you talk about it or talk bad about it, I don't think you're giving it a fair chance, and you're not giving it you're not being a fair judge, and no consistency, I should say.
Yeah, you got to know
You know,
both sides. You got to know both sides.
exactly. Yeah, and you put up some good information, man. I mean, it's gonna be hard to be refuted, man. Anybody out there,
Right.
you want to refute it, hit up Sal. Matter of fact, let me put the banner up there so you guys know. You just hit Sal up, send an email to him. If you want to present a lesson, if you want to, rebut anything that the brother Elvin just brought out, then you go ahead and do that, man. And maybe you guys could get a dialogue going or something. Let me
Just
see
know
here.
if you step
Yeah,
into this ring, though,
I'm trying to
just
tell you.
know you
I'm
step
trying to
into
tell
it.
you. Okay, I'm trying to find this thing. Did I delete it? Mm, I think I deleted the wrong thing. Dang it. Oh well, I did delete the wrong thing. Oh well. Well, Sal's information is in the description box. So if you want to, come on, present a lesson, or you want to challenge anything that the brother Elvin has said, or even if you just want to teach something by yourself, on here, get the word out to the people, then yeah, go ahead and hit Sal up, man. Everything's in the description box. Um, let me go ahead and plug Sal real quick. Okay, so here you go. You can help support the DTU platform. Sal's Cash App is money sign Sal Showtime. PayPal, debate talk for you at gmail.com. That's if you guys want to give the brother some support. of any kind. Everything is greatly appreciated. But yeah, it don't look like you got any takers, man. Nobody had any questions. I guess it was pretty thorough, you
Man,
know.
we all in the body. We all in the kingdom. Welcome to the kingdom. All
Yeah. you
praises.
you broke that thing down, man. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that was a good presentation, brother. Yeah. Good night, Miss Catherine. Good night to you, ma'am. Thanks for coming out. I'm pretty sure Elvin appreciates it very much.
All
That's
praises.
right.
All
Yeah.
praises. Yes, sir. Well, hey, we can end this thing whenever you're ready to, my brother.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm gonna just say shalom to you guys. I'm gonna give the brother Elvin the last word. I'm gonna say shalom to everybody. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thank you to everybody else who's going to watch at the end of the broadcast. You know, once this thing has been recorded and downloaded. Um, like I said, man, you guys want to present anything? If you got any debates in mind, if you got anybody that you want to put on stage and introduce to the thing, even if you got testimonies, you know what I'm saying? Because we are biblically based. So we do accept testimonies. If you got a good testimony, man, come share it with us. You know, if you got any products or anything that you want to push, holler at Sal. You know, I'm pretty sure we can always, put you up here, so you can present it to the family, our DT4U family. But anyway, with all everything else said and done, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to the brother for the last words. You guys have a beautiful night. Shalom.
Thank you, Brother Vinny, once again for freeing up your time and allowing me to do this on the platform, the best debate platform out there, Debate Talk for You. Uh, you haven't debated unless you debated on this channel right here. All praises to the Most High. I just want to end it with this. I'm not trying to be arrogant or cocky. I like having fun. Just my personality. But if we really do need to go back to the essence, they're trying to destroy our fundamental, our foundation of biblical accuracy and understanding. It's so much to say that it's kind of even hard to come out. They want to take the Messiah, they want to take Christ from us, they want to replace Christ, they want to replace our foundation, our spiritual foundation. They want to replace it with other things. They want other things that's considered weird to the ancient world to be considered norm today. There's a fight for our kingdom, and I feel like that we should be able to fight back. You know, we should quit being pushovers and rollovers. It's time for us to stand up. If we believe that we have a king, and we believe we're supposed to represent the essence of the Father here on earth, it's time to stand for something. It's time to push out all wickedness. If you want to contact me, I'm at AOSD, CHANDLER, RPK University on Clubhouse, King Danielle on TikTok. Y'all know all my information. I've been saying it. Please research what I have said. Research what I have stated. Look at it very closely and thoroughly. Research full preterism. Research it all. um, you know, and fast, pray. As Eusebius was saying, these people was in these scriptures from morning to evening. It stated that Paul taught so long that a person fell asleep and fell out of the window and killed himself. Um, I know that they're trying to teach us to have a short term, um, have that a short attention span. They want to teach us to have to let our morals and values decline. They want to teach us that what we considered virtue and good is actually bad, and etc. So let's go back to how things are originally supposed to be. Let's go back to studying. Let's go back to practicing. Let's go back to loving one another, and etc. Let's build a better world, which the Messiah and the Father has given us the outline for. So I'm here to say that this is the time that we are at war, and ignorance is going to be taken captive. I ask you all to help the fight, help join in, help produce the information, help share the information, help support the information. All praises to the Most High. Y'all be blessed. and let's meet together in the kingdom. All praise to the Most High. Y'all have a good night.
Hey, Elvin, before you
Yes, sir.
sign out, I think we do got one person up here, man. We got one person up here. Uh, he said they didn't like what you were saying, brother.
Okay, okay.
Hey.
I was finna say, oh
Hey,
man, smoke is for the
hey,
cub.
hey, he was in the back chat eating that banana like Rico talking about. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Drop a dime on it.
All praises. Shalom, my brother. I'm gonna read and let
Hey,
you talk
Shalom,
on,
shalom.
brother.
man.
All
Hey,
right.
shalom, brother Vinny. Yeah, man. I just wanted to come on real quick and say live on air. That was an amazing, amazing breakdown, and I truly believe I want to give my brother Elvin his flowers live on air. Truly a champion for the faith in the time period we're in. Doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, but he's not here for the recognition. He's here for the glory of our Father and the further movement of the kingdom. So I just, as you can see, it's not enough. It's not enough to get high and listen to a Zeitgeist video on YouTube. It's not enough to just watch a movie, the code, Da Vinci Code, and come on here and think you know what you're talking about when there's people putting effortless time and expenses into actually understanding what's being written in the Bible from a historical standpoint and an esoteric standpoint. And that's what we're trying to do. You know, that's what our group has been trying to do. And people who've been a part of our group, forefathers of our group, have been doing it for a long time, and we're just trying to take it further and actually, uh, make those who are before us proud, and really continue to further the movement of the gospel. So man, just great job, Elvin. You I'm telling you, you guys really don't know how smart this guy is, man. Do
Oh,
not let the southern accent fool you. Do not let don't not let the country grammar fool you. I'm telling you, I put all the money in the bank on this guy. He's really that guy when it comes to the understanding of scripture, man.
all
And
praise.
I pray the Lord gives him longevity in this life.
Oh man, all praises. Appreciate that, Mike. Appreciate that. Hey y'all, this is my brother right there. And he actually was the co-author on the book. And we're actually working on our commentary on the book of Revelation too. So all praises.
Yes, sir. Look out for that commentary on the book of Revelation. I believe is I believe it's our sole purpose for being here on earth. Me and this brother met for that absolute reason, man. And it's really gonna be a banger.
Yes.
From
Trust me.
Genesis to Revelation, huh?
Hey
Hey,
man, hey.
hey.
It's a tough book.
And if y'all don't want to get in the debate ring with the brother and battle wit for wit with him, then I got my money on him in an arm wrestling contest. I done seen this man pull some diesel trucks. I done seen him pull diesels. So y'all let me know.
Y'all funny, man. All praises, all praises, all praises. And oh yeah, brother Vinny, before we go, me and the group, we're trying to do a seminar 2025
Okay.
in Jacksonville. It's gonna be in July. We don't have the exact date yet, but I would once we find out, I would definitely let you know. But yeah, we're gonna do our first seminar 2025 July in Jacksonville, Florida.
Sound
Thank you.
good. I know you're gonna do a promo. Send us the promo.
Yes,
We'll run it.
sir. Yes,
Yep.
sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right. And then you come on and talk about it. Whoever's doing the seminar with you.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. And it also, if y'all want to get together like y'all be doing on Clubhouse, where y'all have a little discussion, a little group talking, where y'all talk amongst each other and y'all present information, y'all could do it, man.
All
Come sit
praises.
down with us.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yep.
sir.
All right. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody for coming out and joining us. We definitely appreciate you. We got one more comment going on. Okay, the sister said, true story. He has a true passion for this. The GOAT, hands down. Sister, you gotta go see that video with him pulling that truck, though. We know that he could throw the knowledge, but watch what he does with that diesel truck. Yeah. Hey, not no little small 3500 either. I'm talking about big semi in the building. Nah, but yeah, y'all have a beautiful night. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. Praise y'all. Thank you for the information. Hope everybody was edified. And until next time, shalom to you and your family.
Shalom, brother.
Shalom, shalom.